Welcome to Big Business Saturdays. Hey Fola fam, welcome back to Big Business Saturdays here with Fola, and thank you for coming and joining us for another episode. I'm so excited for today's episode. My name is Dreyoncé and I am your host, and I'm gonna bring out the legend herself, CEO of Fola Financial. Give it up for Sheneya.
Oh, hey, it's the People CPA, the CEO, and you're rocking with Big Business Saturdays with Fola.
Hey, Shay.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for blessing us here on Big Business Saturday
You
with
already
your
know
presence.
how to pull up.
Right. One time for the one time. And so before we get started, I'm going to play a little game.
Okay.
You like games?
I love games.
Okay, let's play. So this game is called Pick a Brick.
Okay.
Pick a brick. You see here outlined is these fabulous gold bricks. Okay. And we're going to cash in on the brick and ask a question on the bottom. So which one are you picking?
Okay, I'm going to go with the one at the top.
Okay. So we don't have a mess. Drum roll, please. Now, my question to you is, if you had the power to change our currency type, what would you change it to and why?
That is a great question. I would definitely want to change it to maybe like some type of stone.
Stone.
Yes.
Okay. And it's interesting. Elaborate on that.
Yeah. So I say stone because the thing about innate objects, you know, we give them value. Even like currency. Currency is just paper. We just give it value. The stone comes from the earth. You know, and we can give whatever type of value that we want to give it, you know. You know, we think about like diamonds and gold, etc. Like, so I mean, I will say something like that. So like a natural mineral. So maybe it is gold, maybe it is like something, but something that has like natural significance. Because the thing about our current money is that, again, it's paper, it's fake, right? But we give it so much value. Imagine giving value to things that actually did come from the earth. I think that'll be super cool.
You think it'll be a game changer?
Yeah.
I think so too. I like that answer.
Because I will value it, aka we'll value in the earth a lot more too.
Yeah, and we'll take care of it.
Yeah, because oh no, I gotta take care of my hundos.
Yeah, I gotta.
Don't come over here.
My money's all around me and the rocks and pebbles and everything. So I think that's a beautiful answer, and I think it will be a game changer because people will actually put more value into our earth, and I think that will lead to more value in ourselves rather than paper. So that was a beautiful answer. Yay. And how you feeling today?
I'm feeling great.
Just another day in the life.
Yes.
So here we have, guys, the CEO of Fola Financial. You may have seen her on CNBC, New York Times, Forbes, maybe T-Mobile, and her goal is to provide excellent accounting and financial services to the clients of our community. And of course, she expertises in tax planning and preparation, accounting, financial analysis, and business advisement and financial education. So I said a lot of big words. So to break it down to the people, tell me a little bit about what you do as a CEO of Fola, and just kind of walk me through a day in the life.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, Fola Financial is created to help individuals along their wealth journeys, you know, learn the tools, the skills, and provide them with the resources needed to equip them to actually achieve the level of success that they aspire to. You know, we all have aspirations like, hey, I want to be a billionaire, I want to be a millionaire, I want to be an entrepreneur, or I want to be a successful, you know, business owner, I want to be a successful investor. Well, what does that look like? What does that entail? What are the steps necessary for you to get there? That information is not readily accessible, and it's not also, you know, it's not approved in one area. Like, because the thing about information is that, like, you can hear a lot of things, but is it the right thing that you need to hear in that time? And is it, you know, really, you know, CPA or EA or just someone to prove information, right? Because I'm like, hey, you should do this for your business, but then it's the wrong information. So what I aim to do here at Fola is, again, equip people with the skills that are like real skills. You can come to Fola and have aspiration, have something that you want to build, and actually watch it manifest through the use of having your financial team on your side. Well, more importantly, your financial family. Because when it comes down to finances, our culture, it's not a part of our culture because we don't talk about it at our dinner tables. You know, we don't talk about it in the club. You know, we're spending money and talking about, you know, celebrity and that type of gossips, but finance is something that we all are a part of. We all got bills to pay. So I want people to have a safe space to talk about finances and get the results that they need with a team. And that's what Fola represents for me.
That's a beautiful answer, Shay. And I definitely agree with you. Finances is definitely not something that was taught up to me growing up, just in everyday life, and especially to young people. How would you rework our educational system or any type of system we have in place to implement more of that? If you're the president of the world, and how are you changing things up to make sure that young people get the information they need to be better prepared and just to be overall more successful, whether that be in personal, business? What would you change?
That is such a great question. So if I was president and I had the power to change how things go, because I have a lot to say about this system, okay? I got a lot to say.
We could be here all day.
We could be here all day. We're going to start with my little section of it, which is financial literacy and also just the services needed to be on the path of economic prosperity. If I can change the education system, I will definitely, suggest that it incorporates a lot more of financial literacy. More so incorporating things that are real, right? Because think about most people who leave school, you go get a job, and you don't even know how to fill out your W-4 form. Like, what is a withholding form? What is withholding? What are exemptions, right? Or you get a pay stub, and then you're like, okay, well, all my money went to taxes, and you're okay with it without questioning, okay, well, why?
Right.
Why are they taking half of my paycheck? I remember I got my first bonus pay of like $5,000 when I worked at a Big Four accounting firm, and half of it was taken from taxes.
Gone.
I was like, well, what happened here? Like, I need to know. So I would suggest that the education system does a lot more to prepare people for real life financial scenarios. So whether it's teaching a banking class where people can actually come in and like act like they're, speaking with a banker, I think that would be super cool. Or, you open an account, you're learning about accounts. Having a class on business ownership and actually like doing different simulations in the class. And also just having classes that encourages currency conversations as well. So we just come to class to talk about money and these type of tools because again, this is enriching our students with what they need to thrive and survive in the real world. Because as you can see, most people leave school and they struggle.
Right.
And it's because, okay, you taught me geometry, but I don't know how to open up a bank account. Yeah. You taught me about how to dissect the frog, but I need to learn how to invest this money in some stocks.
Right.
And it's like, it just needs to be more real world because the thing about it is money, not say it rules the world, it does not. Love rules the world. But money plays a big part in how pieces of the world and people who live in the world interact with each other. So I would love for more people to be, I call the concept financially conscious, right? So where you don't have to be an expert at it, but being aware. It's the awareness. I don't have to be expert trader, but being aware that, okay, trading is an option if you want to flip your money real quick in a couple months, right? So it's just about being a lot more financially conscious so people can make more empowered decisions.
And I know that that's something that you really are doing and living because I know you do travel and you do volunteer time to speak to young people and let them know of these things that they are crucial to, their uplifting or their demise. So tell me a little bit about that experience and what's something that you commonly encountered while teaching young people and talking to young people about financial literacy.
That's a great question. Honestly, it's so inspiring talking to young people because a lot of them are so motivated. And it keeps me like on my toes, number one, because I'm like, okay, the next generation, they coming hard.
Yeah.
So like, let me make sure that I am being, a good mentor, a good guider, a good resource to them because, they were like me when I was back in the day. What makes it different is that I'm here now and I didn't have a me when I was them. But because I am me now, I can definitely do all that I can do right now to give them what they need to thrive beyond what I'm able to achieve. That is the goal. Like, I want another young person to, start a business that surpasses what I'm building, in a shorter amount of time. Because now as someone who can be a mentor and to you, I can tell you, listen, here are the mistakes that I've made. Don't do these things. Don't do this. Don't do that. Don't hire this person. Don't think about situation like this. Because I want us to experience wealth quicker because we always talk about like closing the generational wealth gap. A lot of that has to do with condensing the amount of time that it takes to build wealth.
Right.
And we can get there a lot quicker when we equip more young individuals with the education, again, schools and resources needed to help them thrive even quicker. Being a woman CEO, being a woman in business, being a woman specifically also in finance, people don't expect or view you as a leader until you kill them with your presence. And that's a fact. There's been so many spaces, so many rooms that I've been in, so many conversations that I had where the respect level just wasn't there. You know, like, okay, you're a CPA, cool, but you're a woman. And it's because, you know, I do a lot of business with, you know, men that have been in the industry for like several years and have millions of dollars. And they just don't see you as an asset as a woman in the business. So a lot of times, you know, and this is interesting because I feel like it's contributes a lot why a lot of women aren't in like super high levels because they talk down. Oh, you're too sensitive. You're too emotional. You know, you care too much. All of these things that they try to paint as feminine traits that are going to be a negative detriment to your success. However, as a woman, I found power in those things. I believe that the quality of my services are excellent because I care. You know, my team, they ride by my side and they do such a great job because I'm sensitive, right? You know, so it's like leaning into your power as a woman and tapping into that divine feminine energy and using it to your advantage. At the same time, when you are a leader, you do tap a little bit into some masculine traits at the same time. You know, being a little bit more aggressive, being a little bit more direct or assertive. But the beautiful thing about life is that everything is a balance and this duality. So the same way you can tap more into your feminine, dive a little bit more into your masculine, it's about finding that optimal balance for you and more so just being true to yourself throughout your journey. So
I know who I'm voting for this election. Okay. And I know you mentioned that you had got a check and a lot of half of it was cut in half due to taxes. Mm-hmm. Was there anything that you could avoided to or done differently to avoid that? And how important is tax knowledge to whether taking home a big lump sum or getting it all taken away from you?
Mm-hmm. That's a good question. So when I got the half of the taxes taken away, it's because it was a bonus pay. Bonus pay is tax similar to your ordinary income tax rate. So that was inevitable. Mm-hmm. However, what it inspired me to do is, as I said, learn more about, well, how can I have this not happen? Mm-hmm. So one of the books that I always recommend to the mentees and people that just do consults with us that I get to speak to is reading Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Mm-hmm. So in Rich Dad, Poor Dad, he talks about the cash flow quadrants. So one is being an employee, the second is being self-employed, the third is being a business owner, and the last one is being an investor. So when you're an employee, you're trading your time for money, right? And you're getting your taxes taken out before you even get to your bank account, right? Trading time for money. When you're self-employed, you are still trading your time for money, right? However, the good thing about it is that now I can deduct expenses against my income before it's taxed. So ultimately, self-employed individuals typically pay a lower effective tax rate than people who are employees because they can take deductions that you can't take. You know, like, you know, I'm an employee, I work from home. If you're an employee and you work from home, you cannot deduct your rent. Now, if I'm an LLC owner and I made income, I can use my rent payments to help offset some of my rent. So now, because I'm a self-employed individual and I'm making money as a entrepreneur, I'm able to earn more than use my regular expenses that I also use for business to help lower my taxable income. So I end up paying a way lower effective tax rate. So those are the first two quadrants. Now moving on to being a business owner, right? Now you have people working for you, right? So you move from you working for yourself, which is you trading your time for money, to now where you have people working for you. And the good part about being there is you're able to multiply money a lot quicker, right? Because you cannot, duplicating yourself is so hard, but training individuals to work towards level expertise so that they can service your clients, that allows you to service more clients. Now you have more volume, and rather than trading your time for money, you're paying people to trade their time to help you make money and put money in their pockets, right? So when you're a business owner, you're putting yourself in a different position. So you may have a little bit more free time because your money is not depending upon you working, it's depending upon is your team working, right? And I feel like that's kind of like where I am right now, which is a great spot to be in, because for the first 3 years of my entrepreneurship journey, I was a self-employed individual doing 1,000 things. Now I can actually, if I want to, take a week off, knowing that things are still going to be moving because I have a team. And the last is being an investor. So before I go into that, Being a business owner, same thing. You get to deduct the cost of your employees and everything else that you have to pay for to run your business. So you end up paying an even lower effective tax rate, right? You know, say more money, more problems. You know, more money, the bigger problems that you'll have to solve, but it's the solution more so will just make even more money. So you get to this point where your solution is to scale efficiently and effectively. And again, you can save a lot of taxes because now at that stage, you can switch your tax election from being an LLC, sole proprietorship, to being something like an S Corp or a C Corp, where you're able to take more advantage of the tax codes as well. Then the last stage is being an investor. So when you're an investor, you're trading your money to make more money, you know? So it has nothing to do with people or your time. It's the fact that I took my funds and I put it in this asset or this endeavor, and now it's giving me a rate of return where I can just let my money make money, you know? And the thing about it is, that is the bucket that pays the least amount in taxes.
The investors.
Being an investor. So again, the more time you trade for money, the more taxes that you pay. The less time you trade for money, and the more you trade your money for money, the less taxes that you potentially have to pay. Because in real estate, for example, you know, I can flip a home and, you know, put it into another asset and avoid paying taxes on my capital gains, right? That's called 1031 exchange. Or when it comes down to, you know, stock investing, I can have a super big, you know, capital gain in my stock portfolio, but because I have, you know, other passive losses, I can use that to offset my gain. So pretty much when it comes to the tax code, I would love individuals to know that there's 3 ways to make income. There's ordinary, portfolio, and passive. Ordinary income, tax the most. That's your W-2, that's your self-employed. When it comes to portfolio income, like real estate and stocks, you now have different levels of tax code that you can take advantage of. And of course, passive income, that is the goal, because you don't have to worry about paying active taxes on passive income. So you end up paying a lower tax rate there as well.
Gotcha. It sounds like to me like you really know how to work the game. Yes, you know the rules, and I think that's what a lot of people, like you said, back to the topic of financial consciousness, we don't know the game. We just thrown into it, and we're just uno'd out.
Pretty much.
You know what I mean? So, and I know that as well as spreading your knowledge to different schools and to young people, you also have the TELP program. Tell me a little bit more about that.
Yes, so TELP is my second business baby. So after starting Fola in 2017, I started TELP in 2019 with the goal. Actually, I got the idea from a mentor. At that time in 2019, I was in that scaling phase of my business where I needed to hire more staff. And the mentor that I had at the time was like, well, why don't you train them? And then also, like, you know, you can charge people for a course and you can use that as a baseline to recruit from. And I was like, wow, genius. This is the best couple $100 I spent for some nothing information. And I took what she said and I ran with it. So I started TELP. In the way to help people learn the tax code so that they can monetize the skill. The thing about it is that there's only 2 things in life that are promised. They say death and taxes, right? And get, you know, so why not jump into these areas? You're always going to have a client when it comes down to death and taxes, right? Funeral homes cannot go out of existence. Who's going to take care of the burials? Same thing with taxes. Well, we need preparers. We need people to work in accounting for businesses to thrive and to run. So being an accountant has so much significance. I think our career profession is definitely, you know, a little underrated. But more importantly, I cannot wait to see more Black people thrive in this space because being an accountant is so powerful. We literally make the world go around. The world thrives off of capitalism. But who's doing the books? It's the accountant, it's the auditors, it's the tax people, like, you know? So learning this skill for you to monetize was really important, but more importantly, when you learn taxes, you're also able to understand financial literacy at a deeper concept. So certain things that we learn when I teach in TELP about like royalties or dividends, it opens up conversations about, well, how do I create this type of income? The terms that we're just not familiar with. So people can take the TELP program. It's an 8-week intensive tax training program where they get to learn with, you know, me and our team. They get quizzes, you know, videos to watch, exams to take, guest lectures that come in. And they also get to actually do mock returns almost every other week during the program, and then practice their mock returns with some of our Fola fam that volunteer to give the students a full-blown tax experience at the end of the program as well. And we get so much great feedback. People tell us, like, you know, this is the best program I've ever took. I took courses from X, Y, and Z competitor. No one has ever put that same level of detail into the experience. And for me, it's because I am a practitioner. So, like, I know what the clients are looking for. So TELP is curated to pretty much match that tax experience. And it's been great. Over the last 4 years of teaching the TEL program, we've graduated over 130 professionals from all over the world. We have TEL graduates that are in Belize, TEL graduates that are in Germany, Zimbabwe, India. So it's been beautiful to watch just how, like, number one, how our education is taking our business global. Because outside of TELP, I was also invited to teach in Africa for 2 weeks in Cameroon, STEM applications in business and how to build a business plan, being culturally conscious about the environment and how can you actually incorporate that into your business plan. So educating is definitely like what I eat, sleep, and breathe. I love educating so much. It's what keeps me up every single day. And for me, one of my favorite quotes is that education is the most powerful tool that you can use to change the world. And that's a quote by Nelson Mandela. And I literally remind myself of that every single day. It's a quote that I put in all of my bios when I send it out to speaking engagements. Because I feel like when people think of me, I want them to remember that quote. Like, she's an educator, because that's my way of pouring back. They say that you teach somebody one thing, they can now take it and then teach 1,000 people that thing. And I see that those little sprinkles, eventually they'll sprout and grow.
Okay, so we are going to make sure we order Rich Dad Poor Dad. We're going to enroll in the TEL program as well after we order that book. Have you seen any, I want you to let me know, have you seen any cases that come to mind of transformative experiences while in the TEL program from anybody who's taken it?
Yeah, so I have a great story. So one of our current students' name is Thomas. His daughter actually bought the TEL program for him as a gift because he decided to migrate from Zimbabwe to United States. So she purchased the TEL program for him for cohort 8, and he has no tax experience at all. He's coming from Zimbabwe, so no experience of the U.S. system or tax system at all. And now he is honestly one of my best tax preparers at Fola. Someone who's just invested 8 weeks outside of the program, just having that desire to learn tax code and more in depth to do the research. So for me, it's like, okay, like now, Thomas's goal is to start his own business. So imagine he starts here in America and he's able to bring this business back to Zimbabwe. So like those type of stories, honestly, they make me really emotional, because it's Fola represents hope, for a lot of people, especially when it comes to economic prosperity. And that's definitely something that I'm so grateful for, and it definitely warms my heart every single time.
That's a beautiful story. And do you think his identity kind of helped influence his outcome with how successful he's been? And tell me a little bit more about how your own identity has contributed to your just overall business of Fola and your entrepreneurship journey.
That is a great question. So, and I know I keep saying that for every question, but these are great questions.
I come well prepared.
So, Thomas's story reminds me of just, how many people aspire to live the American dream, especially immigrants, especially immigrants from Africa. They're like, oh, they got it so good in America. I want to go there so I can make money and I can thrive. However, they get here and it's ghetto. It's ghetto. It's hard.
There's garbage on the street.
It's a lie.
A lot of people think they're gonna come to America, and this is the stories I've heard from immigrants. They think there's gonna be gold on the walls and the street, and then you come here and it's pigeons.
It's pigeons
and trash.
Especially New York, and more importantly, it's expensive here. It's very expensive. How much people make to what they pay, that ratio is not healthy at all. So a lot of immigrants come here looking for a dream, and they still struggle with a nightmare. And that makes me really sad. So now seeing the brand grow to where we're impacting people globally, even though we struggle in America, we're still living in the top 1% of the world in this country. So what does that mean for people who are in India, people who are in the Middle East, people who are in Africa? So pretty much equipping them with what they need to be able to thrive here is really important. I feel like that's what we can definitely do. So people who are immigrants, they have that drive, they have that motivation, they have a very, very strong why. And I think the why is the one thing that allows for anyone, no matter what you're doing or where you're from, to go the furthest. One of my other mentors told me the person who wins is the person who has the strongest why. You know, so I keep that in mind, and which brings me back to the other half of your question in regards to, like, you know, where I come from, and, you know, like, how's that transpired into my business. It's my why. So I'm from the Bronx, New York, very proud, born and raised. I also lived in Brooklyn, New York, and I also lived in Yonkers, New York. So I'm from New York, you know, born and raised in the Bronx, though. Don't forget that part. So having lived in 3 different hoods in the city, I see the same patterns. Like, you know, like, what do you call a hood? You call a hood a space where people, you know, may have, you know, just different type of violent activities. They're selling drugs, they're doing crimes, and rather than, like, just living in that moment, I've always, since a little girl, have been curious as to why. Like, you know, and that understanding has formulated my why. The why is because, again, this information is not taught to us. We don't know our options. We don't know what resources are available for us to seek. We also don't have super strong support, and people who have are the benefit of us in mind without being selfish. Like, a lot of people have selfish intentions. So that's why a lot of people who come from the hoods grow up not trusting people. So, like, that was a lot of my why, which is why we call our family Fola Fam. You know, you're not just a, you know, a client. Like, no, you're part of our family, because we want people to trust, to believe, to work together so we can build a community, so we can all support each other in our endeavors. And that's my why, you know, because I didn't have it. So now I need to make it visible to the whole world. It's like, you know.
Would you say that's the most rewarding part of your position? Being able to share those messages with the world and help everyone fulfill their why?
Definitely, and that's why I love working with business owners as our clients, because they all have their own whys. And to get there, you need a great financial team, and they can come to Fola to get that. So that means definitely a lot to me. And outside of that, I definitely would say that, you know, what reminds me every day is just, you know, how much people are watching.
Yeah.
And I think over the years, I'm very humble. So, like, in a lot of times, I'm just always, okay, just keep working. The moments I do sit back, and what keeps me going is the fact that people are, not say depending on me, but they're rooting for me.
Right.
You know, they're rooting for me because I give them hope. So I'm like, I have to show up for them and show them that where I am right now is still not where we're finna go.
Right.
And this shows you that where you are now is not where you're destined to be. And my journey right now just shows them that it's possible. So the future of what I am going to create is showing them that not only is it possible, but it's done also.
I will say it's a beautiful journey to watch. I know a lot of people at the Fola Fam, and anyone who's watching you, who's been watching your journey, can agree to and attest to that as well. And I want you to go ahead and let me know which, here at Fola, as you may or may not know, you probably do, we have core values, and each standing for a letter in the Fola word, which is financial freedom, opulence, legacy, and abundance. So which one of those resonate with you in your journey, your story, if you had to choose one?
I'm definitely going to say legacy.
Legacy? It's
definitely legacy. Legacy meaning that, like, you know, God forbid I die tomorrow. Like, it feels good knowing that, like, what I've created is going to live beyond me, you know, and every day, like, that was my goal for last year. Like, I need to build a system. I need to build a system, because I'm not going to let all this work go in vain. So when I think about legacy, that's what I think about. Like, you know, to not let all this work go in vain. We want to let our future generation, whether it's my kids or your kids or someone else that I know kids, they have a space, and that's Fola. So legacy definitely is what resonates with me the most right now, right here in my journey.
Thank you so much, Shay, and I love that answer, and it's a beautiful one. I just can't wait to see how far you take it and how
we going public.
We're going everybody. And so tell the people at home where they can find you, and also tax season is coming up.
Yes.
She's your girl. Tell them where they can find you and how to get in contact and all your contact information. information.
Yep, so y'all can follow me on the gram, on Twitter at The People CPA, or visit my website and subscribe to The People CPA text message group, which is going to be reactivated real soon. And you guys can also obviously follow Fola. Like if y'all see Fola, y'all see me. You know, this is my baby. She is, you know, grown into a walking, talking toddler now. But because she's at that stage, I'm still her mom, so I'm very much active. So definitely follow Fola and make sure that you guys tune in for all that we have in store. Again, what we're gonna do is really bring a different level and perspective and culture to finances and really disrupt the industry and disrupt the world. So
boom. So there you have it, guys. My name is Dreyoncé. Thank you so much, Shay, for coming and giving us your time on another episode of Big Business Saturdays. And thank you guys for tuning in.
You can tell it money, hola, and I can see it coming, cause I'm rocking with Fola, cause I handle my financials. I'm rocking